guys, and welcome to a video where I will discuss the topic of Blackbeard. There will be no real theories since this is a discussion. I won't really draw any conclusions in case you're wondering what the hell this is. So yeah, this is why this is a discussion, not a theory / discussion or whatever. Because I'll put things out there, but not draw any conclusions. First off, just to give you an idea of what this video is going to be about, it's basically three things. First, I'm going to discuss Blackbeard's origins in terms of just where exactly in the world he comes from or what connections he might have. The second thing I'm going to talk about is about Blackbeard's intelligence and just his cunning nature in general. And thirdly, I'm going to talk about how he works, or how he works in the broader sense as a final villain in One Piece. And yeah, while in my head this might only take 10 minutes, when you click this video, you might have noticed this is not 10 minutes long because I don't know how to talk for only 10 minutes apparently. But yeah, before I make this 30 minutes long or something, let's just get into it because there's a lot to talk about when it comes to Blackbeard. So yeah, my first point was of course that Blackbeard has some special connections or come from a place with special connections. If you watched my theory video, I was very much against the idea that the fact that he can have 2 devil fruits or more is because he is from a special lineage. But that does not mean that I think that he does not come from a special place. And this is something that will be kind of recurring in my second thing too, but mostly we'll stay on it in this topic because that's actually the main topic for this. So the reason that I originally started thinking this way was because I did some research in the One Piece universe, of course, that had nothing to do with Blackbeard himself. It actually had something to do with Sanji. You might know I'm a huge Sanji fan, and before I even started this channel, I was a huge supporter of the theory that Sanji was a prince. And of course now we know that is true, but I had 1,000 theories or 1,000 things that could support this theory. Some a little out there and some not so much. And this was one of the things that I kind of had in support of this theory that I never posted, of course, because we found out that he had special lineage before I even started my channel, so yeah. But basically what I researched was the Book of Devil Fruits, and while the Book of Devil Fruits is not really the name given, neither in the scanlations nor in the official translation, they call it something like the Encyclopedia of Devil Fruits or the Illustrated Encyclopedia of Devil Fruits or something of the sort. Book of Devil Fruits is easy for me to say and we all know what I'm talking about. So basically the idea with the Book of Devil Fruits is that this book is mentioned at 4 points in the story, 5 if you count very recent events. But it is mentioned first off by the CP9 when Kaku and Khalifa are given their 2 new devil fruits, and they talk about it in the sense that they don't know what these devil fruits are because they are not in their encyclopedia. The second time, I'm just gonna skip for a second here, the third time we hear the fourth time actually we hear the book mentioned, I gotta go back to the other two, is in Thriller Bark when Sanji mentions it in his fight with Absalom, where he says, when I, as a kid, read the Book of Devil Fruits, there was the invisibility fruit and I really wanted that. Now, why he wanted that, we can put aside because there's the pervert side and the really sad side of it, but that's not really important. What's important is that we now had the CP9 and Sanji, a royal, or from a royal family under the world government. They both knew this book existed. Going back to the second time it was mentioned is when Kobe is talking to Luffy in the post-Enies Lobby stuff, and he basically says, did you know that the devil fruit you ate is something that Vegapunk had done research on, and it is actually in the Book of Devil Fruits that he wrote. So now we have the connection between all these things, because obviously, as we know now, Vegapunk worked with Judge a long time ago before he worked for the world government, and that's kind of how these things connect. Now the third time the book is mentioned is in the mini arc we had where Ace and Blackbeard had their fight, obviously, where Blackbeard, he talks about why he was on Whitebeard's ship for the better part of 2 decades, or I think it was actually 2 decades exactly. No, it was 22 years. Yeah, but he was on Blackbeard's ship for this particular devil fruit, and he said that he knew the devil fruit because he had read about it in the Book of Devil Fruits. So this raises the question now, is there a connection between Blackbeard and Vegapunk? Now, of course, this is just discussion, so I'm just putting things out there, but usually the counter... I don't know if usually is the word I should use, but the counter argument for this could be, well, maybe this book is accessible to the public. This isn't really a rare book. You can just pick it up at your local bookstore. And my counter argument for that would be, why in the fucking hell would people from the Four Blues not know what devil fruit powers are? Because we know from the beginning of the series that devil fruit powers are basically a myth. And the fact that Luffy had a devil fruit in the first 100 chapters of the series was a complete what the fuck to all the villains, because he has a devil fruit. Of course, Buggy and Smoker were people who weren't really all that surprised, because one, they were both devil fruit users, and Buggy has really, his history is pretty cool. But either way, they were quite surprised about this. And yeah, you can make the argument that Oda really hadn't planned out the entire story at that point. But still, you could still see the things that if you had a book about devil fruit written by Vegapunk himself, who is a renowned scientist throughout the entire world, you wouldn't really think that devil fruits are a myth, wouldn't you? So I'd really go to the extreme, I guess, and say that this book is relatively rare, which is why I think that it's hugely interesting why Blackbeard has somehow gotten his hands on it and read it. So it could either be because of connections with Vegapunk somehow, or as it could be like a completely other thing. It could be where he has his origins. And I'm gonna put out, I want to call it theory, but it's more like speculations, which is really out there compared to the Vegapunk thing, possibly, maybe. And this might have been theorized by others before, but I don't know. Basically, I'm gonna put out the idea that Blackbeard might come from Ohara. And this is due to, first of all, the book of devil fruit things that I just talked about, and secondly, because we know from Oda through an SBS, but then again, we should take SBSs with a grain of salt if we learned anything from Sanji's chivalry, but he said in an SBS that Blackbeard likes to study history. What is Ohara known for? History! It is all worth mentioning that the destruction of Ohara was in the canon storyline. It was 22 years ago, and Blackbeard joined Whitebeard's ship 24 years ago, just around the time of Roger's execution, most probably right after Roger's execution, so he wouldn't have been part of the Ohara Purge or whatever you call it, which would make sense. Then we wouldn't have just one survivor from Ohara, but we'd have two, which would be really interesting. Also, if by any chance Blackbeard could read the ancient language, I really don't think he can, even if he was from Ohara. That'd be really interesting, because that means that Luffy has a serious competitor, because at the moment he's actually the only one who stands a chance of getting to Raftel, because he's the only one who has a person who can read the road poneglyphs. So yeah. But I'm gonna go into my next topic now, because again, this is not a theory, I'm just putting out speculations and fun things. Now, the second thing I want to talk about is Blackbeard's intelligence and how he's just, in general, a very smart character. And I'm gonna go back again to the fact that Blackbeard was on Whitebeard's ship for 20 years just looking for this one devil fruit. And when you have the patience to wait 20 years for a devil fruit that may or may not come along, I'd say you have a pretty specific plan in your head. And from everything we've seen of Blackbeard, it does seem like he is the very cunning type. He plans things out, and while everything he does make him seem like a coward and not really a likable dude, he is really smart, because yeah, he knew from the get-go that joining Whitebeard's ship would be the best place for him to find the stellar fruit, because if he joined, and he did join after Roger's execution, he knew that the strongest ship to join, or the strongest crew to join, was Whitebeard, because Whitebeard and Roger were legendary rivals. So he joined Whitebeard's ship, and he traveled around the world looking for this devil fruit. Now, as soon as he got the devil fruit, he immediately fled after killing his crewmate. Good job, Blackbeard. And he gathered a crew. Now, one thing I want to point out, because I don't think we have we've been told by Oda how he got these crewmates, because one thing is that Luffy has really fucking strong crewmates who are all specialists in some things, but Blackbeard has those people as well. I think a person I really want to point out is Van Auger, who is this super sniper, and I think it's Usopp who points out when before they approach Jaya that there's a bird who gets shot down onto the Mary, and he's like, we are literally, there's no island around us, this bird how was this bird even shot if that shouldn't even be possible. And Usopp has done really weird things when it comes to sniping. So yeah, Blackbeard somehow has really insane crewmates, and we know where some of them come from, like Shiryu, he came from Impel Down, and Black was like, come join my crew. But still, some of them are a little weird, so he must have some connections. Again, no theories. We also know that basically everything that Whitebeard has done in the storyline before the time skip, everything there has been part of a plan, because there was the whole thing with Whitebeard. Then there was, from the moment he left Whitebeard's crew, he wanted to gain the position of a Shichibukai. To do that, he proposed for the world government that he would capture Straw Hat Luffy, and if he did so, they grant him the position as a Shichibukai. There are a lot of reasons why it would be really smart to pick Luffy as his target, because one, he's a rookie at this point in the story, so he'd be more inexperienced, yet he was still strong enough to gain this 100 billion berry bounty, so there's that. And Blackbeard possibly thought that going for a rookie would be the smartest choice. And on top of that, he'd also eliminate someone with the Wool of D, and someone who weirdly wears a straw hat that resembles a straw hat that Shanks lost not too many years ago. So I say, yeah, of course, for the story it makes sense to target Luffy, but there's probably something else behind it as well. Now, upon gaining his status as a Shichibukai from then capturing Ace, which was more of a coincidence than anything else, he just uses this position as a lot of other Shichibukai does, but Blackbeard has this plan from the get-go, and he doesn't even need his Shichibukai status for more than like 2 months or something. So what he does, in case you've forgotten, is that he goes into Impel Down, even though he's actually not allowed to do so, and he goes down to level 6, makes these prisoners have a battle royale, and then picks the cream of the crop, basically. Now, there are two very good reasons for doing this, and you might, like, obviously the first reason I'm gonna say, it's gonna be fucking obvious. The second one, possibly not so obvious. And the first reason why this is really smart is, of course, because Blackbeard gains some hella strong crewmates this way. By going to the level where the strongest, most dangerous pirates are locked up, making them have a battle royale, he chooses the strongest and adds them to his crew, while at the same time he doesn't have a huge number of people, which means that they would not be able to overpower him and his already established crew. Now, the second reason that it's really smart for him to do so is the whole point of level 6. If you have forgotten, the point of level 6 is that you put the prisoners there who are so dangerous and so fucked up that you want to erase them from the history itself, which is the thing that world government really seems to love. But even level 6 itself is a hidden level, and the people who are there, the public doesn't know about them. They have actually been erased from history, and even after Blackbeard killed all those prisoners and then took like 6 or 7 of them, the government still tried to cover up what had happened, because how could they tell people that, yeah, okay, so there's this hidden level 6 and Blackbeard just whooped in and took some of the prisoners there who are just so dangerous that they could possibly cause massive world catastrophes. I mean, you don't really want to say that. So now Blackbeard has a crew that consists of some really fucking strong guys, as well as the government probably, and at the very least, all the people outside the inner circles of the government not knowing anything about these guys despite them being hella strong. A good example is Katarina Devon, who was supposedly the strongest female pirate of her age until someone captured her. I mean, what do you do against that if you have no information about her? She's strong, but again, putting in the fact that you have no information just makes it almost impossible to fight her. A couple more things, just short things to add to the fact that Blackbeard is really smart. He tends to have this thing where he shows up after an event has happened or just at the end of an event, both with Impel Down and Marineford, and as many speculate, also Wano. He comes in the end of something, and then he just takes the spoils and then he leaves again, which seems cowardly but also really smart because that ensures that he will get what he wants in Impel Down the prisoners, in Marineford the Devil Fruit, and he can get them without really getting hurt because at this point the two sides who are fighting have fucked each other up so much that they can't do shit against Blackbeard. And possibly this is also what's gonna happen in Wano, as I mentioned that he'll come, and some people speculate he'll steal Kaido's Devil Fruit whenever Luffy's done fucking him up, and then he'll just leave again. Because we know that his crew is hunting for Devil Fruits, which is now another thing I want to get into. Because through his journey, starting from when he left Whitebeard's crew, he's been steadily gaining power and influence in the world. And after becoming a Yonko, or at around the time he became a Yonko, he has just been gathering strong Devil Fruits, which is really smart. I mean, Kaido is doing it as well, and he's doing pretty good for himself. As we've seen from Big Mom, she has some really freaking good Devil Fruits as well. And then there's the problem with Shanks, where a lot of people speculate that none of his crewmates has Devil Fruits, which would be really interesting, but that's another theory. But we know that Blackbeard has been gathering these Devil Fruits, and then by that creating a stronger crew. And with his information with the Book of Devil Fruits, he'd know exactly what Devil Fruits to take, because he'd know, okay, you won't actually eat a really shit Devil Fruit, because if a human were to eat the human fruit that Chopper has, I mean, that probably wouldn't be the best Devil Fruit to have in terms of combat at the very least. And there are probably also other Devil Fruits that are less suited for combat and more suited for other things. So yeah, I'm gonna round off the Blackbeard is smart because I'm probably gonna touch a little bit upon it in the next segment. Now to the third and final part of this video, and I'm gonna discuss why I think Blackbeard is a great final villain, in my opinion, of course. This is really gonna be zero theories, like in the others you can kind of derive theories from there, but this is really just gonna be me talking about parallels and fun things. But what I want to talk about basically is that Blackbeard, when we meet him for the first time, he actually seemed like a good guy. I mean, I don't think any of us would really forget that when we met Blackbeard for the first time, like not in the in the pie shop or whatever, but kind of the second time we meet him for the first time, when Bellamy has fucked up Luffy and Zoro because they refuse to fight against them, and Nami then drags them out of the bar, and Blackbeard sits there eating his pies and says, these two dudes, they want to fight. And he continues on to say, if you believe Skype exists, go find it, it's definitely there, dreams never die. And I mean, that sounds good, that's a good quote. And I mean, in general, I wouldn't pin Blackbeard down as a bad guy if I just knew him for that. I mean, yeah, he had a little spat with Luffy the first time they met, but that was literally just a disagreement over the food and the drinks. So we can all discuss, like, yeah, obviously he had that good introduction, but he's also done a lot of really fucked up shit. Like, the first instance I think we heard about him was in Drum, where he had fucked up the entire country, and he led to Wapol leaving and then coming back and then all that shit. But he came and destroyed the country, halfly, kind of. The next time we then hear about him is from Ace, who's like, oh yeah, there's this guy Blackbeard that I'm after who killed one of our crewmates. He betrayed us, and that's really great. So of course, yeah, you don't like him for that, and then again, he comes after Luffy, and then he goes after Ace, and he captures it, and then he just goes on to do a lot of completely irredeemable stuff. But we still need to remember, he's probably still a guy who has dreams, or at least he had dreams. I'm gonna argue for why those dreams may not be as prominent in his character anymore. But if we go back to the beginning, As I said in point 1, I think, Blackbeard joined Whitebeard's crew around the same time as Roger's execution, and most likely, and I think this is even a fact, he joined right after Roger's execution, which probably means he was inspired by Roger, as a lot of pirates were at the time, or soon-to-be pirates. And I'm gonna argue for the fact that when Blackbeard was younger, albeit not as young as Luffy were when he said he wanted to be the Pirate King because he was 7 at the time, but Blackbeard was kind of like Luffy, a person with big dreams of becoming the Pirate King, who is the freest man in the world and all of that crap. And at some point, he let power corrupt him, and from what we've seen of Blackbeard at the time he was on Whitebeard's ship, yeah, sure, he was a pirate, he fought Shanks and gave him a scar and all that, but he seemed like a genuinely nice guy. I mean, he had some banter with Ace and stuff like that, and yeah, you can say that was acting, but then again, he did so for 20 years. I mean, he could have been a worse guy and still be on Blackbeard's crew, or Whitebeard's crew, I'm sorry. But what I really think would have changed him over the years from this probably likable guy with dreams and things, not so evil desires, let's put it like that, into the guy that we kind of do today, this evil Yonko who is the reason that Ace is dead, and he's just, overall he just seems despicable. I'm gonna say that the reason that he is insane at the moment is the fact that he fits into the character group of people who just can't handle power. Because if you look at it, from the moment that he left Whitebeard's ship to where he is now, he has gained 2, and some would say more, devil fruits. He has a pretty freaking strong crew. He used the world government perfectly by becoming Shichibukai, freeing the prisoners and then just leaving after, and then he got Whitebeard's devil fruit. He then rose to the status of Yonko within, like, what, a year or so. He won the payback war against Marco and the other former Whitebeard people, and now he's just one of the most powerful people in the world, powerful, influential, and all of those things, over the span of only 2 years, or 2.5 years, or whatever. That's insane. That's a lot of power to gain in such a short amount of time. And it's not even that it's just like he worked slowly. Yeah, he did work slowly to get it, but it's like from the moment he got the Yami Yami no Mi, he rose like tremendously. And that might have gotten to his head because at this point in time, nothing in his plans has gone wrong. And we of course all know where that gets you, because as we've seen with Crocodile, as we've seen with Doflamingo, if your plan works continuously and then someone kind of puts a stopper to it, then you fall from grace. That's probably what's gonna happen to Blackbeard, but just to a bigger extent, because I don't think that Oda has really not made it obvious that at some point Blackbeard and Luffy, they will meet, they'll have a war. Luffy will most likely win, in my opinion, because this will happen before the final arc. It'll most likely happen at or just before Raftel. But basically we can have this parallel with Blackbeard and Luffy starting off the same with big dreams of becoming the king of the pirates, and then at some points their paths diverging because one of them became a power-hungry maniac and the other stayed a cinnamon bun, and at some point in the story their paths will meet, and we'll see what path was the right one. And again, I mean, if you don't think Luffy will win that fight, I don't know what to say to you. But I just think that's a fun thing to think about, that Blackbeard might not have been the worst guy in the existence of the One Piece universe from the get-go. And I mean, you can still argue that Akainu is worse. I think Blackbeard is worse personally. But I think that's really a personal thing. Yeah, I think that's basically what I have to say. I might have forgotten a few things, but that's probably for the better, and we can have a fun discussion in the comment section below if you think that I missed some facts about Blackbeard, if you have some other ideas, if you want to continue one of the speculations that I had and actually turn it into a theory, like, feel free to do so. So yeah, I'd really encourage you to leave a comment. I'll probably answer it if you if you're one of the people who usually comment on my videos, you'll know that I answer. But yeah, you can leave a like on this video if you liked anything that I had to say, and you can subscribe if you want to see more of me. I usually do reviews of One Piece, Shokugeki no Soma, Haikyuu, Boku no Hero Academia, and I do weekly videos on One Piece the anime and Haikyuu the anime. So yeah, if you're into those, you can subscribe, and until next time, bye!